All right, everybody, welcome back to Cool's Interviews. Today we're going to be taking a trek down a realm that we really haven't touched upon too much outside of our one with Margie K. So this one should be really fun for us as we get to learn a lot about a new subject, and that is psychic abilities, and maybe we'll learn a little bit about meditation and tarot reading. And we have a guest here from the Voyance YouTube channel, if you want to check that one out. So I'll turn it over to you, Selina.
Hello, everyone. Hello, my name is Selina, and yes, I'm a psychic medium, but I'm very well known internationally for my world and celebrity predictions. And some of them are very controversial, and they do come in. I keep everyone updated with all what comes in on a daily basis on TikTok with news articles. So yes, that is what I can talk about today, and of course any paranormal subject, the Akashic records, tuning into them, timelines, that kind of thing.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you for joining us. You actually reached out to us and you had said you had seen one of our interviews. Which interview by chance did you
Yeah,
see?
it was Michael Feely. So Michael Feely, I've actually emailed him a few times with some questions, but I've read some of his books, and I listened to his podcasts and listened to them for quite a while now, about the ancient Egypt and the esoteric stuff and the Akashic records and all of that, because I'm very interested in that, stone circles, monuments, all the esoteric symbolism of everything, numerology, even equations he talks about, like physics equations. So I listened to one, and then I've been listening to quite a few, and I've done some podcasts myself. So I thought, oh, I might check out if they want me on their podcast. So I do podcasts. Maybe every 6 to 8 weeks I do one. I've got another one next week. I did one last week. So yeah, it's quite busy at the moment being interviewed. Right. It's all good though, because I put it all on the YouTube channel and promote everyone. So
Very cool. Yeah, no, thank you for reaching out. That's really cool to us that our videos have such a reach that you were able to see them yourself and then reach out
yeah,
to
I
us.
listen, I listen mainly to podcasts. I don't really watch podcasts. I listen to. So I'm usually doing something else, or it might be
Hmm.
before I go to sleep in the evening, or I'll be doing something and then I'll listen to them. So that's how I know, and I know about them.
Hey, I can relate. I listen to a lot at work or on our long road trips because we do a lot of road trips on our filming treks.
Oh,
Roswell's about 9 hours from us, so we get
is,
a lot of
is that for
airtime.
the aliens? Is that for the UFOs?
Hmm. Yeah, that's
Okay.
where the UFO crashed in 47.
Yeah, yeah, no, Roswell. I've seen a UFO.
Have you?
This was a few years ago, and it was outside my window. It's hilarious. It's not a drone, because I've seen a drone as well, and that's different. This is very high in the sky, so it's no way a drone. And it was round, like a saucer shape, metal, silver color, and it was just moving, and then I followed it, and then it just disappeared. So I do
Hmm.
believe in that.
I definitely do as well. I have a couple stories of my own.
Yeah, no, there definitely is. It's all about dimensions, isn't it? There are different beings on different dimensions, different frequencies, and sometimes we see them, sometimes we don't. I think it was a psychic friend told me that she thinks it was because I'd had a past life there or something, or I'd had a link in a past life, and they, they were saying hello. Which is, I've never had another experience. That was the only one. It's about, gosh, about, God, 10 years ago now. So it was in daylight as well, broad daylight, very clear.
Those are interesting. I know Colorado, where we live, has quite a hotspot, I would say, for UFO encounters, and I guess it's the whole kind of like section of Colorado, Utah, New Mexico, Arizona. But Sam's was in daylight, and then our buddy Alan, if you've heard of the Phoenix Lights, he actually saw that one in person in Phoenix in the late '90s because he lived on the Navajo reservation at the time and outside of Phoenix, and that's where it happened.
My goodness. The other place that seems to happen a lot is the Bermuda Triangle.
Hmm.
So there must be some sort of vortex there, or a timeline, a frequency, because it might be where the ley lines, you know about ley lines?
Hmm.
Yeah.
There must be some sort of ley line cross there, vortex for those areas, because it's certain areas, isn't it, that they see them?
Yeah, there's certain big areas that have like that, like ley line crossing and like a vortex slash. I think I've heard it been called like a wormhole, like a higher chance for
That's
like
it.
wormhole presences.
It's a wormhole. It's like it naturally just opens and then people see things. Because when I saw it, it disappeared, and I'm thinking, where did it go?
Right.
You know what I mean? Don't usually see that sort of thing where I live. So yeah, it's fascinating stuff really, but it just shows what's out there. There's a whole lot of stuff out there that a lot of people are not, they're kind of asleep. They don't even know. Um, there's lots of hidden things, I think, and I think the UFOs are just little snippets, aren't they? They give us little snapshots of things.
True. And
Yeah.
send us messages with crop circles.
Yeah, I've not seen crop circles, but I've heard of it. It's again to do with frequency, sound frequency, isn't it? Frequencies? No idea.
Mm,
I'm more, what I do is I tune in, I'm more future than past. So I tune into the something called the Akashic Record. I've done it my whole life. I do private readings, but the TikTok thing actually, it started as I was doing it for years before I didn't even know what TikTok was. Someone had to tell me. Um, so I would get information just like a hobby. Some of it would be a marker, like a time marker for an event in my life. And then I would look at the news online because I always check the news every day. I like to know current affairs, and it would come up, lo and behold, and it was sort of happening a lot, and I didn't really think anything of it. I just thought, oh, it's time markers. And then someone said, oh, you should put that on TikTok, like do it as a business, or link it to to promote your readings, like to, do, I don't know, a few predictions, well, celebrity predictions. So I tried it as a joke, thought nothing of it, and lo and behold, they all came in. And I was doing, and now I do it every month. I've been doing it for like nearly 2 years, like a year and a half. Every month I do about 10 or 12. And they're very specific. Like one was an earthquake in Indonesia, Jakarta, and I'll get the month, rough timing. I think that there are different things with politics, celebrities, discoveries. Have you seen it, the chat? Have you seen my TikTok?
I haven't seen your TikTok. I have seen your YouTube.
Oh, okay, sure. You've seen the YouTube. So yeah, I tune in, and it's a bit like how Nostradamus has done it, but not as doom. Not as doom and gloom, because he's very doom, isn't he?
Hmm.
So it's more discoveries. And I've got a podcast, my own recording coming out on Friday. There's two. There's actually three. One is general predictions for the month ahead, March. One is the future of humanity. So it's top 7 predictions. I can tell you a few now. And one is on the royals of the UK, what I think is going to happen. So do you want me to give you a few on the future of humanity? I think some of these you'd be very interested in.
Yeah,
Sure,
I'm
I'm open
open to
for it.
hearing it.
Sure. One of them, I was just talking to your colleague Sam about one of them, and it is a scary one, I'm afraid. It was that I think there's going to be another virus. Could be like smallpox, Ebola, and I think it's around 2027. And I think it's affecting Africa. It's like a virus bacteria hybrid. I don't think it affects Europe much. So that's coming. The other two things that I don't know if you've heard of is transhuman, where it's part robot, part human, like a chip, microchips and bionic body parts. Yeah. one of my predictions was that there would be Neuralink they would pioneer a microchip in the brain, and I predicted this a while ago, and it happened. Elon Musk do you know about Neuralink with the microchip?
Yeah.
I think there's going to be a lot more of this sort of thing. So you may even end up, and this is over the next sort of 50 years kind of thing, it's far future. You're going to see even possibly humans plugged into a computer, like a transhuman, robotic human. You've seen that film Dune, and Zendaya is in that outfit. So that again is sort of publicity, isn't it, for the way things are happening? Because they always say the film comes out and then it happens. So yeah, it'd be like these transhumans will be like robots. Even some things robotic, AI, that kind of thing. Maybe fighting in wars as well. So warfare. So it probably won't be full humans in warfare. It may be humans controlling robotic machines or something like that. So that's the future. Then I've also seen the genderless human, which is like a genetic engineering, so the test tube baby. So there's no gender. And this is going to be introduced, I don't think in my lifetime, it will be later. And it's to get population numbers down. So there'll be lots of things with genetic engineering going on, I think.
Yeah.
So lots to look forward to. No, luckily it's not
Lots
in
of
our
interesting
lifetime.
things.
I mean, it is unethical, but you can sort of see a lot of stuff happening now, and I think there'll be a lot of protesting about it. But I think they're sort of starting now with a lot of this kind of genetic engineering and things.
Yeah. Well, that's very fascinating. And you said those were more of long term, not like super quick then?
Yeah, not now. Well, it's already happening, but they're longer term kind of things. There's other stuff as well. There's good stuff like a new renewable energy. And I think I predicted this a year or so ago. It's already started. It's using nuclear fusion and fission. So it's that pushing atoms together or splitting them apart. So that kind of nuclear energy, I think that will be the future. It's very good. It's clean energy. I think someone called Nikola Tesla was touching on it, but they never quite, I don't know if he didn't quite make it to pioneer it, but it's that kind of thing. So because there won't be any fossil fuels, they will go. So they will need a different energy. Also travel, space travel, commercial travel will be like supersonic, and it's already happening. They're reintroducing Concorde. They're thinking about it. So kind of, but proper supersonic, like it's like in the spacecraft. So you would probably go vertical, and then you'd be in Australia in an hour. So that again, it's 100 years from now. I mean, it might be less, 50 years to 100 years. So yeah, there's a few others, but yeah, that was the future stuff. But there's lots of other stuff like the politics stuff with presidency in America. Who do you think is going to be the next president? Just out of interest, do you have any views on that? I'll tell you what I see, but
Who do I think? Oh, I
yeah,
have no idea.
really, you
Yeah, I
don't.
don't know.
I think because the two main candidates are so disliked by like so many people.
Yeah.
It honestly could go either way, or because I know RFK Jr. is running third party, I wouldn't be shocked if somehow he won.
Who's the other person you saw?
Kennedy Jr.
Yeah, he was a strong candidate, wasn't he?
Yeah, because he's running independent third party or something, but he's polling better than the other two are polling right now.
Mm.
Like the
Yeah,
other two
I
are polling like 30% or something crazy.
I,
It's not
I
bad.
did see, I did a podcast on this on YouTube, and I did see Kennedy as a very strong candidate. He's like a challenger role, isn't he? He challenges. He's very anti-vaccination, so he could be controversial, but he is very popular. Trump, I think, as I said before in other podcasts, he will pull out last minute due to legal issues and various things come up, which is already happening. He'll pull out last minute. Joe Biden, I think, will have some sort of accident or problem where and this will be before the elections, where he's kind of out of action for a bit. I actually predicted a fall he had. I got the month, and you know how he was laughing. It's not funny, you know.
No, it's not. But there's
Maybe
he tends to fall a lot.
He needs a stick or something, because they make him do all these things, having to climb things and everything, and it's not easy, you know. That it's not easy at my age, let alone his age, climbing up all these stages and down the stage, and he needs some sort of stick or help. So there'll be it's mean to laugh. No, we shouldn't laugh. There'll be a problem. He'll be fine, but I think the lady Kamala Harris, she won't be a president, but she'll take over for a short time, like oversee, and then I think they'll do an election. And yes, somebody new. It's going to be whoever takes the spot will serve a total of 2 terms, so 8 years, and it could be Kennedy. Or it could be, I keep seeing someone coming in last minute, or they're not, it might be Kennedy takes it last minute, or whoever it is, they come in last minute with votes. It's maybe Trump leaves and then it's all kind of the attention's on this person. So yeah, it's definitely, I do feel it is a new energy. I do feel it is a new person. So that I'll probably do another podcast on that in a few months. My podcast on that was surprisingly popular. I didn't think it would be, but it got like it was like 1,500 views or something. And it's like, oh gosh, people are really interested in this. It's interesting to know what people are interested in, isn't it?
Oh yeah, that's
Yes,
something we keep an eye out, because YouTube shows you the analytics, and it's so fascinating. Like 1 month this topic will be really popular, and then the
Yeah,
next month this one is. So
sure.
yeah, it makes it fun. No, when you say Harris like running it, we've had in the past where like Woodrow Wilson was pretty much out of action, like his brain was like responsive or whatever, and his wife Edith Wilson was pretty much running the country for the last, I think, year or 2 years of his presidency. Is that something that kind of similar to what you're seeing?
Yeah, but for Kamala Harris, very, very short time, months.
Just to
Then
finish the term out, kind of.
yeah, and then, well, he might come back in, he might make an appearance, but I do think there could be I saw him in a wheelchair, so I think there is an issue. Trump, I think, has a lot going on, insomnia, relationship problem, loads of problems around this man. You know, I do feel sorry for him sometimes. He's, you know, in a sort of whirlwind. So for some reason, he'll pull out last minute. He doesn't want to, but he'll be disappointed that he's had to pull out. He has to, because there's something going on in the background. And then obviously whoever gets it kind of swoops in and gets it. And yes, it could be Kennedy. Actually, funnily enough, I did get a very good feeling with him. He's either getting it or he's coming very, very close to it. I did get a very good feeling with him. So yeah, we'll see what happens there. The woman, is it Haley? She won't get it. She wants it badly. I just don't see her there getting it. So I don't think it's a woman that will take the top spot in. Is it November? The elections are in November, aren't they?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They're just after a comet. There'll be a big comet in October. There's one coming up in April, and there's one which I think will be very relevant for the British government, because I do see a new Prime Minister very soon. I accurately predicted Liz Truss would resign in 2022, and I got the timing. I said it'd be Halloween, and she resigned. So I'm now predicting the next. I've got a lot of pressure on my shoulders. I've got the next Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak. Rishi Sunak, the current one, is on his way out, and I predicted around end of March, Easter, and then April's a new election. I think Labour will win. Keir Starmer could become the next Prime Minister. He's quite strong. he's a very strong candidate for it, and I think it could be around beginning of May that he takes that. And you've got the comet in April, and then you've got another big comet passing in October. So whenever there's a comet, there's usually a new world leader or something.
A shift in the power.
Yeah, and on a personal level for people's lives, this April we've got a very big solar eclipse, the American solar eclipse. I don't know if you're going to watch it. Obviously I won't because I'm in the UK, but I'll probably see it online. That 7th of April, and I do special little mini readings. I do them on that day for people. I advertise them, little like recorded readings, because there's going to be a big shift in a lot of people's lives and on Earth, bigger than a normal eclipse. So whatever it is for you, for some people it will be a home move, some people it will be they're getting married or a divorce, or it could be a new job, or whatever it is that is the month, and you're going to see it with the British government. Big shift.
Interesting.
Always open to those.
Yeah, yeah. It's always good to have a new direction for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, you've just got to take the opportunities. You know, there's some people remain stuck, and this leads me on, and some will open doors to new opportunities. This leads me on to the next thing, which is, do we have free will if I'm predicting things that are coming in already? If I'm seeing things, because some of the stuff I get, even for myself, I'll know I'll get the phrase, or I'll get, like, I knew Mount Etna was going to erupt in June, and it did. It was so specific, months and months in advance, sometimes years in advance. I'll know the month I know, like for a friend, I knew, well, it was two friends, they were going to get divorced. They didn't know, they were fine in their marriage, but I knew years before, and I knew the year and month they'd get divorced, and they did. Very low vibration though with the divorces, but it's kind of, it is mapped, isn't it? It is mapped, but it's like, how does it all work? So what do you think? I'll tell you what I think, but yeah.
I mean, I think it's mapped, but we have choices of which map we take.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And the more intuitive you are, the better the choice. Because when you look back, you think, oh, I should have moved, or I should have done that 15 years ago. I should have done that 10 years ago. That was the time. But at the time, we weren't probably as in tune. I call these turning points, these little choices, and I don't think there's a lot of them on our map of life, but I do think they do pop up. And you can kind of feel it when there's a choice. And I think sometimes when we make the wrong choice, it then leads to difficulty or whatever, but maybe we had to go through that to learn the lesson or whatever. So yeah, it's very complicated, but I think it's all, they say the universe is like a 2D cache of information, where everything is flat, there's no time. And then this is actually Stephen Hawking said it's flat. And the universe is then a holographic projection. So we live in like a projection, that's where the time is. And I think when I'm doing reading the Akashic record, I'm reading the cache, the flat bit, almost like the thought before it's created. And then I'm seeing it. And sometimes I'm seeing, I can see the choice and the two pathways from the choice. I think a lot of it is mapped though, and a lot of people are waking up, but a lot of people are still very asleep. And there's a lot of control in the brain, like programming, especially done at a young age with school, media, that kind of thing, schooling, media, various things, advertising. So sometimes it's very hard for a lot of people to make their own choices because a lot of the choices are controlled. And it's almost like there's two parallel timelines. One is the timeline that is controlled for you. So there are choices within that, but then one is your divine soul purpose. And I think some people do get onto that divine soul purpose, but many don't, because they kind of stay trapped in a certain control of how, oh, I should be doing this, or this is my belief because I've been told to believe this, or I've been. Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
Very
Yeah,
complex stuff, isn't it? Right? Mind-boggling.
I mean, I think on like even just not even a super deep level, if you look at people's like careers, so many people kind of think they have to do one thing, and or they'll take like the easy money versus doing what they love, which might take a little bit more work. But I think it'll pay off more if people put in that time and do what they enjoy and stuff. But it's one of those choices you got to make, I think.
Mhm. I think a lot of that, I used to be a teacher, by the way. I used to be an actual primary and secondary school teacher. I left 7 years ago due to ill health. Was always a psychic. I used to do readings on the side, like private readings. And I do a couple of psychic lines as well, a little bit on there. And I left teaching due to ill health. I recovered, not 100%, but I've recovered quite a lot. And I just never went back to teaching. Didn't need to, because I kind of did other things. So it's funny that how life changes. But when I learned in teaching, a lot of it is very structured and controlled, even the lessons, what they're teaching the kids. And I think a lot of the what you've just said, that people think they need to do things, is because in the education system, you're taught that you need to get a very high grade. If you don't get an A or an A star, or if you get lower than a C or whatever it is, you've not done well. So it's competing, isn't it? You're taught to compete. Then when you leave school, you get a job and you're taught that, well, you need to get a promotion. Well, I need to do X, Y, and Z to get the promotion, to compete, to go higher than everyone else. I need to keep going higher and higher. And I do a lot of these career readings, business readings, and there's no fulfillment whatsoever. And it's almost like a mind control. I call them like almost, they've turned themselves, they've turned it into a minion, like a worker, and it's all to sort of make money for somebody else, that one person or a few people that own a very big organization or whatever. And it's all about competing to get a bigger house, to get a bigger, and there's no self-sufficiency. There's no, oh, I'll think for myself and do my own thing and try and do it slightly differently. And then a lot of them actually go mad. Like a lot of people, they have a midlife crisis, or they have a lot of problems because they literally are lost. I mean, I don't know if you come across these people. I meet loads because of clients and things. And I always say to clients, go with what your soul needs. Align yourself to what your soul needs, your soul's purpose. What is it? So I try to help them to find it. Obviously I can give predictions as well, but it's once you really align in all areas of life, it's not just in work, with what your soul needs, not what it wants, what it needs, because what it wants is greed. That's based on greed or ego. What it needs is different. So when you start to see that, you start to do different things, a new timeline opens up. So I do think the way the world is that we're taught to compete against each other. It's almost like survival of the fittest, isn't it? That's what I've seen. But it happens from very small, from school, because they're brainwashed to get A and A star and all of this. Now, when I taught in a private school, I did a bit of supply work, and I went and did some cover in a private school, international private school. One of the parents told me that the way the lessons work in a private school is there was no grading. It was project work, and that includes all subjects, and it's pass or fail, and they make you pass. And all the kids had very good behavior when I taught them. They were very intelligent. They were doing very well. They were flourishing in IT, in maths, in everything. It's a different system. It's not about getting an A star, because what happens to the kids? They can't even get above D. What happens to them? Where do they go? Do you see what I mean? How do they feel when they leave school? So I do think there's something wrong there with the way they make everyone compete. I have clients on the phone, like mothers phoning me, and they say, will my son get the 5 A stars he needs to get into medical school? I mean, for God's sake, give the boy a break. You know what I mean? It's like, he needs 5 A stars. He needs, or 3 A's or whatever it is. Will he get it? And it's the pressure on someone that's 17 or 18 years old is immense. Do you know what I mean? And that's not right. That's not a good message. In my day, because I was thinking about doing medicine, everyone in my family is a doctor or a surgeon or a nurse, or I'm lucky I didn't do it because I don't like blood or illness. So I don't. But I was, in my day, when I was, God, I won't tell you my age, but going back years ago, probably 25 years ago or so, you needed maybe an A and 2 Bs. Some universities would take you for medicine, an A and 2 Bs, and you'd be okay. The A needs to be in chemistry. Now it's 3 A's minimum. 3 A's. Some are asking for 3 A stars, and we didn't have A star in those days. So you can imagine, and an A star I think is over 90%. So, and they need to be all kind of physics, chemistry, maths, biology. And so if you think of, it is a competitive world.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think too with like schooling, we got to make it fun to learn, and we so many times just reading textbooks, but I actually had one class, and it was like AP Ancient Civilizations or something.
Oh,
And one of the projects was you had to research some time, but then you had to make a person and like write a journal from a person in this made up city and like give their town and description and draw the city map. So it made it fun. You were taking in the facts, but then you were creating something. It wasn't just like reading a textbook and then answering a multiple choice question or something.
sure. Yeah. It's the civilizations are very interesting, because someone was telling me that they think that humanity has actually got less intelligent as a civilization than ancient civilizations. It's actually gone backwards. So it's very interesting to learn about the old civilizations, especially Egypt, and how and their knowledge, their wisdom, their esoteric knowledge, because that's kind of gone out the window now, hasn't it?
Mhm.
No one really knows about much. They're just kind of robot. Get up, go to work, get on the train, go. Well, it's like that in London. You see them on the train, like it's like zombies.
Mm-hmm.
No expression on the face, and they look so sad, people, when you go out. I can really tune into the worry, the financial worry. I mean, years ago, we're talking thousands of years ago, money didn't even exist. People built their own homes and they bartered, they swapped crops or whatever. Money didn't even exist. Now people are so scared they can't even pay their bills or their rent. Do you know what I mean? Unless you've got a stable job and you're lucky in that area in your life, most people are not okay at the moment, from what I'm seeing. So yeah, I think we have gone backwards, definitely. What's your
Yeah,
view on that, on civilizations?
it seems more like a spoke in a wheel, as they would say. People become they just keep going around and around. And yeah, like you said, I what was it? The ancient Egyptians paid their workers in food and beer, so maybe not the worst things to get paid in, you know.
Oh,
Right.
okay. I don't think money existed then. Like,
Mm-mm.
I mean, it probably did coins, but um, especially in the UK, I think it was a lot of bartering. But then there's a system, isn't there, of the like very wealthy people and then peasants. So that's been going on for quite a while. it's like a hierarchy. You see it now. So very, very rich people, like 0.1%, and then everyone else, like just a few people. So I think that's to do with survival. I think that comes from the survival of the fittest. So you see it in nature. Obviously, it's the nature scale is much smaller, but you know how you see like nature, plants compete for nutrients. It competes. In the animal food chain, you get like a pyramid where you've got a few at the top, the predators, and then the rest at the bottom. So I do think it is the way creatures have evolved. There is some sort of evolution. They've evolved. They kind of have this, I think anything with a carbon body, carbon atoms, life, plants, animals, whatever it was, dinosaurs, fish in the sea, it's got kind of this theme of this chain, like a food chain, survival of the fittest, like a pyramid, competing for food, competing. But what's happened with humans, because they've got intelligence, it's become very, very severe, where it's like a lot of greed for land, a lot of greed for money. It's really, really bad. And you can see it because a lot of the population of the world, it's 8 billion now, it's growing. I think half of that 8 billion is starving. I mean, I live in the UK, which is economically developed, but 50% of humanity don't have enough food to eat. And it's not really outlined in the news, it's not talked about, but it's horrendous, it's horrific. That shouldn't be happening. So yeah, it's the whole civilization is I don't think we're going in the right direction with things as a humanity, as a civilization. And I think eventually something will happen. I don't think it's in our lifetime. It's much later. I do have the date, but I'm going to save that for my book. Right? I think there'll be something that happens where I was shown 2/3 of the population will be wiped out, and then there'll be like a new world. And it could be a nuclear bomb, it could be something. I do think there are going to be several very big world wars, not in our lifetime. And yeah, I think it's just going to get quite competitive, and the population will grow. It is going to grow quite a lot, and they'll want to do the genderless human to try and reduce it. So what I saw was they could offer this as a second child. So the first child is like a biological, natural one, can be male or female, they just have the child. So this is in countries like China, or where there's a very big population, they can't control it. The birth rate is outgrowing the death rate. And they'll offer the second choice of, if they want to have a second child, will be a genderless human. There'll be something like that. I can really see it, where it's like a sterile human. Do you know what I mean? Because it's 8 billion now, and I think there will be laws to get the population down on how many children you can have. Maybe in certain countries. I think it already is. There's some laws in China already, I think.
I believe so, yeah.
It's 8 billion. Can you imagine? When I was small, when I was about 6 years old, the population was 4 billion, I think. How did it double in 20 years?
Right.
What's it going to be like in 20 years? Like 16 billion. I'm not joking. It's just, and all starving, all problems. Do you know what I mean? Droughts and all different things happening. It's just, it isn't easy. I think what's happening is humanity is not working in sync with planet Earth. It doesn't work in sync somehow. That's what I'm feeling. But yeah, it's difficult stuff. Have you heard of Nostradamus?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a lot of interesting. A lot of his predictions were similar to mine, because he also saw a new pope this year. And I'm seeing the new pope, but he saw a lot of this sort of stuff. But yeah, I guess it's all kind of it's already happened. Maybe the thought has already happened. The thought, the greed, the way humanity is. Maybe it's a world we've not even explored yet. We've not even seen the potential of what's going to happen. I don't know. I think there are ways to kind of get out of that. So within this chaotic world, there, as I said, 2 timelines. There are ways to get onto sort of the timeline that's right, the rightful timeline, the one that your soul is rightfully supposed to be on. I think there will be ways for those that kind of spiritually wake up, or they become very intuitive. They will know how to navigate. Because just the laws of the universe, where there's always a positive, always a positive and negative in every atom, even positive, negative, and then neutral. So where there is negative things, but people will be able to have positive lives as well out of that. But I don't know if they've woken up to see that, some people.
Well, and you're talking like the population. Have you seen anything with humans leaving Earth? Like, I know that's been a thing with Musk going to Mars and stuff.
Okay. Oh yeah, there'll be more of those explorations, space travel. I saw a volcanic eruption on Mars. I think they're going, the telescope, James Webb telescope, is going to catch some footage or a photograph of a volcanic eruption. It hasn't happened yet, but it will. I think it's this year. I'm not sure they can set up stations there. I mean, they might do, but I don't know if it's exactly like Earth. I'm not sure. I think that there are other worlds that are not on this frequency. There are other planets as well, but I think they're quite far out where there's life. But I think Earth has its own kind of sole purpose itself. Humanity has its own sole purpose. And I do think we are here to have a human experience as a carbon body. I think it's very complicated. I see it like a labyrinth. I don't think it's necessarily all controlled, because I think we have an element to sort of create our own, to go onto the right path for us. So I don't think it's completely controlled, but I think it's, I'm not sure they'll be able to live on Mars though. I think maybe a built space station. They will be so advanced with technology, they will have like in the James Bond films, those space stations. I think there's going to be a lot of that, even in our lifetime. I saw a article, this was a while ago, and it was sad when I read it, what they were saying. They said that companies, very wealthy companies, were spending billions of pounds to find water on Mars, but they won't spend a few pounds to find a well in Africa, or where there's people dying of starvation and drought. I think that sums everything up.
Right. Yeah. Maybe not the best places to do the money. Like, obviously, here in UK, we're in the US, we kind of know how people here view paranormal and that kind of those topics. How is it viewed there?
Oh, paranormal.
Yeah, just like that whole umbrella, I guess, like UFOs, ghosts, cryptids, any of
Right.
that.
Oh no, I think it's okay. But it's quite open here, because I know a priest. She's like Church of England. I'm not religious, by the way, but she's a Church of England priest. I was speaking to her about possession and clearing houses and things, and she said she's very busy. You know, she does it free. She's an ordained priest, and she's very busy. She's got lots of requests. So yeah, I think it is quite common. Paranormal, ghosts, UFOs. I'm not sure. I don't really know a lot of people that have had experiences, but definitely ghosts or things like that. I think it's quite open here. It's quite being psychic is fine. Like you could be psychic here and it's fine. It's not weird to be psychic here in England. You know, it's not really
A taboo
it's
or
not a
something.
Catholic country, is it? It's like it was the Church of England country, but I think because the monarchy has a monarchy, so I think the Queen was the head of the Freemasons, wasn't she? So it's that old kind of esoteric knowledge. So it's the country is not against, you know, it's not because in some countries what I do is illegal. I mean, if you start doing this, you get put in prison, or in some countries, not in Europe, but I don't know many people that talk about UFOs though. Maybe I don't think maybe it's more common in America. I think the UFO Bermuda Triangle. I've heard of. I've heard of this Area 51, Roswell. It seems to be more in America. I don't know why that is. Could be to do with the ley lines or something.
Yeah, I know there was a study done not too long ago where they kind of highlighted where UFOs were seen, and the US was like pretty much just completely lit up, and then the rest of the world was maybe slightly outlined, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah,
That could be why. That's interesting, isn't it? Maybe you should do a little documentary or do an investigation onto why that is.
right.
Are there ley lines there? Can you get access to a ley line map? I know with things like stone circles, because I do little documentaries on them, and I'm going to Stonehenge this year inside,
All right.
and I love stone circles. They're very healing. A lot of them are, there is more of them in the UK than anywhere else on earth. And they tend to go on the west side of the country. And that's because the UK has loads and loads of ley line vortexes, crosses, has loads of them. And it's actually the magnetic, well, they say it's the magnetic center of the earth. And you can see that with finance. And that's why all the finance is here and everything, all these companies are here. And oh,
Yeah, see,
yeah,
there's,
that's useful. Yeah, it's like that's a lot, isn't it?
yeah,
So yeah, it's like you have a UFO version of what we have the stone circle version. Yours is in the air, ours is on the ground. So I wonder if there's some
Right.
ley lines in the air or something in the sky. There's got to be something there. What is there? You've got to investigate.
well, that's like something too, because we talk a lot about cryptids, and it's kind of an interesting topic because they really are very vastly different from each country. You know, the U.S. obviously has like Bigfoot, you know, Loch Ness monsters in Scotland. Like the UK has like the black cats, the Beast of Exmoor, like these big black panthers. Have
Black
you?
Shark is
Yeah,
called. It's yeah, no, I think there's one that's a dog. And there's one that's a cat, but I think that's just a wild dog or cat. It's not a big deal, you know. It's
right.
not like they
Fair.
made it a bit. Oh, I've
Hey,
seen. Oh, someone. Oh, I think a relative saw that in where my family home was in the garden. It was a big kind of wild cat, massive one. I think my mother saw that. They're quite normal though, aren't they? Because they're wild cats. They're different to a UFO.
yeah,
If you
yeah,
saw a UFO in your garden, that's
yeah.
like quite a big deal.
Hey, they've made complete episodes here in the US about the black cats in the UK though.
Really?
So
Gosh.
yeah.
Hmm.
I'll have to find some if I can on YouTube. I'll send it to you so you can
Oh,
watch
well,
them.
yes, please do. But I don't think they're a big deal. Yeah, the UFO thing is very interesting. I wonder if I don't know how much I can say on this, but I wonder if it's to do with some of the air bases in America. I don't know if it's linked to that, or
It's
I think there's
possible.
a lot of stuff we don't know about, put it that
Hmm.
way.
Yeah, I know Sam and me were talking kind of about that last night, where there's
Ah,
quite a bit of encounters or sightings around military bases.
why is that?
I don't know, maybe they're checking on, or maybe some of it is the government. You know, we're seeing
Yes.
like,
Yeah, because before there was a bunch of like military bases, like specifically Air Force bases. When there would be like in the areas that there would have a lot of high sightings, they would build like an Air Force base nearby that, like within miles of where like these crafts would appear.
Yeah,
And
I
then
don't know what that is. Is it because they obviously? I know a lot of well, everything that's built in the world. That's you look at the Vatican bird's eye view. A lot of the castles, palaces, churches, structures, buildings. They're built in like a special geometric shape. It's like links to Freemasonry and geometry, perfect geometry, how cathedrals are built and everything like that. So I think that's linked to that actually. Some of the craft could be government, but I don't think all of it is. I think it could be that they're building it there to tune into it, or there's something we don't know about. I don't know. This is what I mean. It's all a bit hidden and mysterious. I don't know how much you can investigate without being arrested.
not much.
Yeah, not a lot.
Yeah, you don't want to be hanging around. I don't know how much you can hang around these places without. You might have to go in a disguise or something.
Yeah,
So
no, we're pretty lucky. We've been able to talk to some people, especially when we go to like Roswell for the festival. There's a lot
right.
of like there's a lot of witnesses, or I don't know if you've heard of Travis Walton. He was a
No.
UFO abductee, but he's there, and so
Yeah,
we were able.
I've heard of the stories when they go. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, so we were able to listen to his. It's interesting. If you're ever in Colorado, there's a site here called the UFO Watchtower,
Mm,
and it's now there's all these like geometric shapes from where people have left stuff, but they're supposed to be like portals and
mm,
all this like energy, but it's like the most seen UFO activity in the United
mm.
States or something's there.
Mhm.
And it's interesting you talk about the geometric shapes because I think that's the key.
Right.
Because I
Right.
wonder if there's a geometric the way the ley lines cross. Because when I study ley lines, so I looked at the map of London and the vortexes, like basically all the cathedrals are built like it's like a pentagram. It looks and it's built all around it. There's different ley lines, so I wonder if there's some sort of geometric shape, and that there's in the middle of that, and it's probably a pentagram. It's usually a pentacle or a pentagram or something like that, triangle. I wonder in the middle of that is where the portal. There's a portal there.
Right. I'm
I would
trying to.
suggest going there, by the way, in case you don't come back. Oh dear.
Oh,
Right.
Don't
Sam,
get
tell. Well,
scary.
I'm looking for a picture, but tell her about our trip to New Mexico that time.
Mexico, yeah, that's got UFOs. I've heard of that.
Mhm. So when we were heading towards Roswell, we were going through New Mexico, and we ended up taking like this road that the GPS was just like, yeah, this is your fastest route. And as we were going, like I was watching something on my phone. We were listening to like a podcast through the car, and I didn't see it happen, but like I felt us like pass through like this barrier. Like it just felt like we were passing through like this like a bubble almost, or like this like slight barrier. And so like I just felt it pass through us, and then like I kind of like looked up and like looked around and was just like, huh, that was weird. And then didn't think too much of it. And then like as we were continuing down like this road, we were like gaining in miles. Like we would go like 20, 20, 40, 80, like continuing down this
Miles.
road. Yeah. Just like
You're accelerating
continuously going.
now, trying.
And like the time of our arrival never went down. It was actually like increasing. So like what was once like 3 hours ended up being like 4 hours, and then there was like 4.5 hours, and we were just like, that's one of our other buddies was just like, is it just me, or does it seem like we are gaining miles but like we're increasing in time for some reason? And then we all kind of like talked about it, and then I think I mentioned that like I felt something weird back there, but I didn't think twice of it at the time, but now I'm curious about it.
You decreased in time, so time stop. I've had such a similar experience on the train, by the way. Um, it's so you time's decreased, but you've accelerated without realizing it. Yeah, is that what's happened?
Um,
It was kind of like we were gaining miles, like we'd gain 100 miles, but then we'd lose like an hour or
Hmm.
half an hour. So what was
Yeah.
normally an 8.5 hour trip took 10.5 hours to do.
Oh, it took 2 hours more than usual, but it
Yeah,
didn't.
so like we slowed down essentially, so like time sped up for us opposed from slowing down. So like it was like us were moving at like a slower pace than like time. Like we hit like a time vortex potentially.
That's really weird. That sounds like you went into a vortex. You must have gone into the where it's crossing. That's what's happened to you. I've had something similar, but it's different to that. It was where I I was on a train. It was after I went to St. Paul's Cathedral, actually. I'd done a little kind of quest there and um, harmonized with the energy. And I stood in the center underneath the dome. I walked round and then I stood there. And then I had a very strange experience about 9 days later, but I'll tell you about that in a minute. But this one, I was on the train going back home and I just looked, just suddenly 7 stops had gone past and I was in my stop. I was just like that. This never has happened. It's just like that. And then I'm in my stop. It's like, there's a time, where did that go? Where did that, I don't know how many stops, 7 stops. So 15 minutes, where did that go? I lost 15 minutes on that train. And then 9 days later, I think it was to do with, I think it's to do with the ley line. I think there was some sort of timeline energy shift. It was positive for me, very, very positive. Like I was physically better. That's why I'm going to Stonehenge. It's like it's always a positive thing. I think what you were in sounds a bit negative. I don't know. It sounds a bit dodgy. But then 9 days later, I levitated. Like so, I went to bed, and then I just was suddenly like coming out of like an egg. It just felt like I was lifting. I was having like an out of body experience, and I was very, very, very scared when this was happening. By the way, I wasn't calm like now, and it felt like I was being born through an egg. It was really weird, and I was in two places at the same time. I was on my bed, but I was slightly above as well, and then I could feel the version of me on the bed rotting, disintegrating,
Hmm.
and then it's just renewed me, and then I'm just back on the bed. And then afterwards I had like a panic attack. I wanted to call an ambulance. I was so scared. I thought I was dying. And it wasn't. It was a renewal, Phoenix Ashes. I'm quite an unusual person, by the way. It's good you got me on the show. But yeah, I'm sure you've had some very strange experiences. I'm not, what I'm telling you is just something I've had. But yeah, it just goes to show there are things out there. There are timelines. For me, it was very positive because I felt like a rebirth, like renewal, energy renewal for me, and that's why I went there for healing. But for you, it sounds like some sort of vortex. Again, it is a geometric thing, but it's like you've entered a territory. The other thing I think it could be, and I watched a program on this, was sometimes, again, I don't know how much I can say, but in the US they have these things called like generators. I can't remember what they're called. Do you know what it's called? It's in an area. There's a famous one. It's like a generator. It's like a massive particle generator. There's one area, and they don't allow you in there. They don't allow you in that area. You know where it is. I can't remember the area it is. It's in America. It's like an accelerator.
I've heard of it. I don't know
Yeah,
where. I
you've
don't know if
heard
it's
of
like California, maybe.
That's it. I think so. Yeah, it's
Possible.
military based there, and I think it sounds. And someone that drove near there had a similar experience to you. So I wonder if there's a frequency band they put out in the that area you were in. It gets very controversial. We don't know why, what they're doing. But there could be maybe they are communicating with aliens. Who knows? And they're not telling us. You know.
Yeah, I think they definitely are. Well,
Yeah,
our
yeah.
experience kind of worked out for us because like there was an incident at the Airbnb we were staying at. So
More incidents than me, right?
Yeah, so
What
it
happened?
was kind of positive, but like negative. Well, one of the caretakers apparently ended up like dying in the front yard, and so us arriving late, like they had time to, I guess, take care of that. Keegan knows more of that story.
Oh, so what happened?
Yeah, so because in that part of New Mexico, you really don't have signal, like phone signal or anything, so you're just kind of on your own.
Hmm.
And so finally, we got to Lincoln, which was like the first signal. Plus, they had like this little uh, like brewery or pub, and they had food there. So we were like, well, let's get some food because it's been a while. And we got signal, and that's when we got the owner of the Airbnb called, and she was like, yeah, the one of the caretakers died. He was in the front yard, and so they were trying to help find us a different Airbnb, but because it was the festival weekend, obviously that was pretty packed. Even though we were staying in Hondo, which is about an hour outside of Roswell,
Hmm.
but yeah, I guess it just gave them time, and then it also made it so we didn't just discover a dead body, because I'm sure that would have been not a good thing to just stumble on without
But
knowing.
how did he die? Why did he die? Was it suspicious?
No, so it New Mexico's decently hot. It wasn't too hot that day. I think it was like 80 or 90 degrees Fahrenheit. But we don't know his age, but he was outside like mowing because you could actually see in the grass where it stopped. So I don't know if he just got overheated or like heart attack or something. I'm
Heart
not
attack.
sure. Yeah.
Or at least he
Hmm.
went quick. You
Yeah.
know, best way, isn't it, when you just go quick and no suffering?
True.
Poor.
Well, and what's
And
weird
so,
about that road too, because like we experienced it, but then my granddad and my uncle were going down to Roswell, and I told him, I said, go through Fort Sumner. I'm like, you can stop and see Billy the Kid grave, so that's kind of cool. I'm like, but whatever you do, do not take Vaughn. It's gonna tell you it's faster, but don't do it. And
don't
they
take certain road, yeah?
Vaughn is the city, so like
Okay.
there's a fork in the road, and you can either go to Fort Sumner or you can go to Vaughn,
Okay.
and both end up in Roswell. And I'm like, it'll tell you it's faster, but don't do it. And then my uncle sent me a picture, and there's these two big cowboy cutouts on the side of the road, like fighting with each other on either side or whatever. And I was like, oh, they took Vaughn. I was like, I told them not to. And
Okay.
yeah,
And
then my
what happened?
uncle said that the road, it just seemed like it kept going on and on, like it was just never ending. So they had a similar experience too.
That's weird. Yeah, there must be something there. It's either a generator frequency or it's man-made, human-made, or it's a portal or both. Something going on there. I've not experienced that in the UK actually, but maybe there isn't a lot of that here, but it sounds like there's something, especially if it's near where Roswell happened, right?
Well, and there's
There's
a lot of
Hmm.
like you said, military bases. Alamogordo's out there where they did like the atomic bomb testing and stuff. So maybe
yeah,
that has something to do with it.
or it could be that they build these bases on certain ley lines to
Mm.
because it's easier to communicate with the aliens or also to generate energy. Maybe there's experiments going on, and then the aliens can sort of find it as well. I don't know. It could be a few reasons. I don't think it's a coincidence that they build them on certain vortexes. As I said, a lot of churches are built on ley line crosses and ancient Roman temples. St. Paul's
Mhm.
Cathedral used to be a Mithra Diana temple, Roman temple underneath. Used to have a stone circle there. A lot of people don't know that. Under the dome is a perfect cross, and I had a very unusual experience. I have to go, a good one. So yeah, a lot of these places, monuments are built on ley lines and yeah, of course, air bases and things. So, but the alien communication, they must be getting something, some information from aliens because there was something in Spain. I don't know if you've heard of it. They sent signals. It's a place in Spain It's it's like a observatory or something, and they sent signals to space, and then they got signals back, sound signals back. Aliens. I think that was one of my predictions actually last year, was that they'd get alien sounds and signals back. And it's happened a few times. So yes, there's definitely something out there communicating. It's just it's not really reported a lot. I think there is definitely, even if it's an energy source or a frequency, it might not be a being as such, but something is giving off, something. So what happened exactly with the dead body? I don't understand. You went there. So how was that weird? What, you said something happened that evening.
Well, just that happened, and so it like it took a while for them to like obviously get the ambulance, and they had to investigate, make sure there wasn't foul play or anything like that, and then they could move the body and get it transported. And so we left our houses at like 5 or 6 in the morning, and
Hmm.
we didn't get to the Airbnb, like they didn't let us in until like 10:30 p.m. And so
Right.
it was a long day. I know a couple of times it kind of felt weird, like sounds or stuff, but it was an older cabin, so it's always kind of hard to be sure.
Decipher.
It's yeah,
What you mean is the whole energy of that day was odd.
yeah.
Yeah,
Know
essentially,
what
yeah.
you mean? And you're aware of it, whereas someone might not be, but you're fully aware of this.
Mm.
It's like almost like a negative pocket in the timeline. I call them like a pocket. And you're very aware. So that's, yeah, it's fascinating stuff. But do you think we can avoid them? So, do you think we could get so involved and in tune that we can we can avoid these negative things
I think so.
and stay away?
I I think it's possible. With the whatever we hit in Vaughn, it'd be hard to avoid it outside of just not going that way because that's like the only road that way.
Hmm.
So maybe there's a reason there's only one road
Oh,
too,
right.
you know. So
So you had to maybe it's going to be a precursor for something else you do.
mhm.
You might go and investigate something else and put two and two together, or
Right.
maybe that's
Ooh.
your purpose, isn't it? To do a bit of investigation.
Right.
It's
I mean, I
fascinating
keep telling them we
stuff.
should go back down that road.
Don't go back down that road though. Maybe look somewhere else. It's fascinating stuff. I think you should go and do research on the Bermuda Triangle. You may not come back.
Right.
Don't go like on a secluded boat there, will you? Just but maybe you could ask people, or that's fascinated me from a child, that Bermuda Triangle.
Hmm. I agree.
Right.
More ships and planes have gone down there than anywhere else on Earth.
Yeah,
Been
we've
something.
had our share of like documentaries like about the Bermuda Triangle on the TV, and trying to think of some other kind of, I mean, like Area 51 or Roswell or some other kind of big, like the it's weird, like I don't know if you guys have a lot of those, but we even get a lot of like BBC documentaries here, and
Yeah, I
honestly
think we've
some,
had them. Not as much now though on that.
yeah, sometimes like we get ones on the Wild West. I'm like, these are better made documentaries than ours. Like, what's going on?
Oh, the BBC one. Yeah, they're quite good, some of them. They
Yeah.
haven't had one on the Bermuda Triangle. The Roswell, they've done a few. Yes, I've watched some of them. With one of the ones with the alien, that alien looked at the thing, it did look a bit fake though, didn't it?
Oh, in the video.
Yeah,
Yeah,
not sure if that was real.
yeah, I
Mm.
think I don't know if you ever seen the show Project Blue Book. I don't know how you can find it, but they did a two-part episode on like Roswell, not the crash, but kind of after the crash, like how the town was dealing with it, and it explains that video pretty well in that episode and like what happened. They
Right.
what happened is like there was a small group who I guess had been talked to by the government the first time, like when the event actually happened, that faked the video kind of based off of another guy's description of what was going on. and then they were going to release it to try to get the government to come forward. Is kind of what happened, at least in the episode.
Oh right, well that's interesting. But I don't think the government did go forward, did they? They didn't come forward. They probably knew things, but they didn't say. Yeah, it's fascinating stuff. I think people have seen aliens. I've not actually seen one, but there are so many different. Just before I go, I was just going to say there are so many different types of soul, and even in humans, different beings and different things on different frequencies. And I haven't seen aliens, but I've seen a few things in my time.
Right. Yeah,
Not
we've talked to
all
a couple
human.
people who have seen
But
extraterrestrial. We have 2 interviews with Reverend Michael J.S. Carter. I don't know if you've heard about him, but he's seen like 5 different alien species.
yeah,
So if
yes,
you
I've seen a few. I probably have seen it, but it's
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, he had a artist actually create little busts of what each one looked like. So he was showing us each one, and it's quite fascinating, the different looks. And
Can you send me that link in my email?
yeah, I'll send
I'd
you.
love to watch. I think what I was thinking about is I don't think all species, or even with humans like the soul, I don't think everybody is created in the same place. I think there's different frequency, there's different, like there might be a black hole or something that, you know how we're created, they say we're created from the Orion Nebula, but I don't
Mhm.
think everyone is, or within that there might be sort of darker frequencies where it comes out. I don't think everything's, all souls are created by the same blueprint or the same. I think there's different types. Do you know what I mean? Some
Like
positive, negative, all it's all different.
like when you say that, is that like why certain people you think say they're not from this time, or they feel more connected to a different time?
It could be, yeah. I don't think it's just one. You know, they say in the traditional religion, one creator of everything.
Hmm.
I'm
Mhm.
not sure if it's everything. I think certain things, yes, but I think there's some very dark souls there around, and I think they're created from somewhere else. And then, but even lighter souls as well, good souls, I don't think they're all created in the same place either. I think there's different nebulas. I mean, the universe is massive. Do you know what I mean? We're not all going to be out of the same hole. We didn't get created out of the same hole, the same
True.
little nebula. So yeah, and I think this is where the religion thing gets a bit, you know, the
Mhm.
religion thing sort of has a similar theme of negative, positive, doesn't it? But I think it's, I prefer the science explanation.
Right.
I just, yeah, I think I don't know fully about the religious. I think there definitely is a energy. I don't even like to call it creation energy because that can be positive, negative, or neutral. I like to just call it an energy, like an electromagnetic energy, and I think you can tune into that. You can harmonize with that. Stone places like Stonehenge, the Giza Plateau, the pyramids. This is all very positive, and I think you can definitely harmonize. Yeah.
But before you leave, can you just tell people where to find you so that they can actually find you on YouTube and everything?
So you can find me on my YouTube channel, Soul Voyance, or my website, www.soulvoyance.co.uk, and I'm also on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook as Soul Voyance.
All right. Well, thank you, and we'll have to do this again.
Yeah, we will.
Sure, very, very good. Very excited to do it
All right.
again. Thank you so much,
So,
everyone. Thank you, Sam and Keegan.
so once again, Sam and I want to say thank you to Selina for joining us on this episode of Culz Interviews. It was quite fun, and we will definitely have to do it again. We also want to say thank you for reaching out after seeing one of our interviews. It was quite awesome to have that as well. And for anyone watching or listening, make sure to go check out her channel, Soul Voyance. It's on YouTube and TikTok, like she said. But until next time, for more Culz interviews, click that link to your left. For more about what we're doing here at Culz Paranormal, click that link to your right. And don't forget to hit that like and give us a subscribe. And let us know What did you think of this interview? And is there someone you want us to talk to? Let us know in the comments below.